Hello, I am Aaron Whittenberger. I am the Vice President of Professional Development for the Bluegrass IIBA chapter. Welcome to this session of BA Talks. The idea that I would like to share with you today is on scope modeling. As a very good business analyst, I am sure that you are asking me now, what is scope modeling? Well, I will be glad to share. Scope modeling is a way of defining solution scope for a particular change initiative or a project that has been initiated within your organization to bring about a change within that organization. It is a way of giving a very easy to understand, very quick to consume pictorial view of that solution scope. It depicts what features and functions are in scope and out of scope for your solution. So solution scope is that set of capabilities that the solution must have in order to meet the business need. That is the purpose for which your project was initiated. It sets those boundaries, what features and functions, processes are in scope and out of scope for your solution. You would actually be defining and modeling solution scope in the very initial phases of your project, initiation or inception, by whatever name you may call it, when a business analyst is first engaged in the project. And when you are doing business analysis planning, one of the first tasks you will undertake is defining solution scope. Because business analysis planning, you are planning and defining your approach to the project, what tasks and what techniques you will do throughout the project lifecycle. Before you define that, set your solution scope, define what that solution scope is so that your tasks and your techniques are within scope of the project. As you can imagine, this is far before you get to analysis or discovery phase of the project, before you get to requirements elicitation. Set your solution scope, define it, model it so that all can see very quickly what your solution scope is. As I said, this is done during business analysis planning phases of the project. Business analysis planning is there to organize and coordinate the activities of your business analysts and the stakeholders of your project. The deliverables from business analysis planning are used as guidelines throughout the rest of the project lifecycle. And your key deliverable from business analysis planning should be solution scope, both defined and modeled. So you would define solution scope at the very beginning of the project to set expectations for the rest of the project. It sets the stage for the rest of the project. By defining what is in scope and out of scope for your solution, you set expectations with stakeholders as to exactly what features, functions, business units, processes, or other areas within the organization that this particular change initiative will be looking at. It sets the stage for requirements elicitation, analysis, or the discovery phases of your project. So now I would like to share with you 6 models that I use for solution scope modeling. I have found these to work very effectively in my business analysis practice, and I've been able to go to one or more of these scope models to model solution scope for my stakeholders. And as I said, you can do more than one. You have different classes of stakeholders, those that are actively engaged in your change initiative or your project, and those that aren't, such as your company management or executives in the company, who must understand what that project is looking at, what the scope of that solution is going to be, but they are not going to be actively engaged in your project. So let's look at these 6 models. The first is the functional decomposition, or a functional decomp. Functional decomp can be done on either a features basis or a work basis. On a features basis, you would take a particular feature, function, or process within your organization, break that down to its highest component features, Then break each one of those components down to lower level components within those components. Break those down even to lower levels. You can usually do 2 to 4 levels within a functional decomp. On a work basis, you would take a particular piece of work that must be performed, such as your change initiative or your project, and break that down to its highest level components. Then break each component down to a lower level component. This is a very good start for a work breakdown structure, as it is much easier to accurately estimate those lower level work buckets than it is that very high level work bucket. The context diagram, or this one shown here, is a context data flow diagram, as it depicts the data that flows between your external agents and your system under discovery. Your system under discovery is shown as a circle in the middle of the diagram. The external agents are shown as rectangles around that circle. This shows the data that flows between them and labels the type of data that is flowing, as well as the what direction each piece of data is flowing between those external agents and your system under discovery. Your external agents here can be systems, they can be websites, they can be processes, they can be business units, people within your organization or external to your organization that interact directly with your system under discovery. And those are the only external agents you would show on a context diagram, are those that interact directly with your system under discovery. The process flow diagram is very good when you're talking about a process re-engineering project or automating a process, a manual process. It depicts the functions and activities that happen within the process within your organization. This particular process flow is called a swim lane diagram, where all those functions are put into lanes that are labeled by the entities that perform those particular functions. It is very good to show those interdependencies between functions and the entities that have to perform them. I'm sure that we have all, as business analysts, used the use case diagram, particularly in front of a use case. But have you ever used it to model solution scope? It is a very good diagram when understanding the actors that interact with your system and what classes of actors there are. So your system under discovery is shown as a rectangle in the middle of the diagram, and all the functions that are performed that are very pertinent to your particular change initiative would be shown as ovals within that boundary of your system under discovery. And then your actors are shown on the outside with lines pointing to the functions within your system that they perform. So this is very good when you have to understand the interrelationship between your system and your actors, what different classes or types of actors they interact with your system. This is the feature tree. It is a fishbone diagram that shows the features that are done within your particular system or process that you were looking at. This is a very good diagram to show executives within your organization, as it is a one-page, very quick to consume understanding of what features a particular change initiative is looking at. You can color code this diagram and show what is in scope and out of scope by different colors, or show the releases. So what features are going first, what are going next, what are going after that, what are going last, and what are out of scope for your particular change initiative. Show those by different colors. And when you do that, I would always put a legend down at the bottom to show what release is, what color. The ecosystem map is very good when it is important to understand data flowing through multiple systems throughout a process within your organization. So where does data come from? Where does it go? What systems transform? data and how it is transformed along its path. Understanding upstream systems and downstream systems, when those are important pieces of a particular change initiative. Systems ecosystem map is very good scope model. Your system under discovery would be shown in a more bold outline than the other systems when the ecosystem map. And understand that you may have more than one system under discovery. Where are the controls of a particular process? What system hold those controls? What systems will have changes because of your change initiative? Those are your systems under discovery. Those are the ones that you would show in a more bold outline. And as I said, you could have multiple systems under discovery in your ecosystem map. So I hope you found that very informative and very beneficial. I hope you start using scope modeling. Do that at the very beginning of your change initiative to set the boundaries and define for all your stakeholders, both directly involved and those that aren't involved in your project, of exactly what features and functions are in scope and out of scope for your change initiative. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much for your time today.